Welcome to That Japanese Thing. Today, we're talking about the winter anime season. Now that we've watched a few episodes, what's good? My name's Chris. My co-hosts are Dylan and Yesh. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Good. Good, we're doing hello, hello, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Not hello, hello.
Hello, hello. That show could... that show could do with an anime adaptation, couldn't it?
No.
Well, why
As
not?
we've learned this season, we don't want to destroy things from our youth. We want to leave them intact as the beautiful trophies they are.
But money.
A hard,
No.
edgy remake as the
No.
British spy in a French town during World War II.
No.
That
I
would
need
be better than
a soft,
No.
non-edgy remake.
You need
of a slice of life.
No, I was just thinking no. No, Chris. No, you're not allowed that. Take that idea, go away. I do not want to know. It is already a slice of life.
Yeah, but all of the Nazis are like cute, 14-year-old girls, right? That's what we're going for in the new adaptation.
Okay, but we've got enough problems with Nazis nowadays.
Are we slowly approaching Hitalia?
Actually, you could do that. You could have the French agent marrying one of the British spies.
Mm-hmm. It's just Hitalia with extra steps.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Anyway, let's start with the season.
The season, indeed.
So we did like a little prediction of what we thought would be good 2 episodes ago. So if you want to go check that out, go check that out. Boy, was I wrong about stuff.
We've only seen 3 episodes.
Yeah.
We've only seen 3 episodes of the season so far. There's room for things to go south and things to go north. It's just
Honestly,
that
I've mostly seen 2 of things, or 1 if I thought it was real bad, or 5 minutes if I thought it was real bad.
To be fair, yeah. There's a couple of shows that I dropped inside the episode.
I did watch some things more than once though, so I suppose that means they're good. One of those things, I'll just start us off, was Handyman Saitou in Another World, which I was expecting something very different from what we got. It must be like a 4-panel manga, right? That must be what it was adapted from.
It started as a light novel.
Really? Wow.
This is a light novel.
But it's
the manga itself is pretty well established. It's relatively popular.
so the strange thing is it's just maybe like 5-minute intervals of like a little side story at a time, right? That's the way the anime is made.
The gag being that he's using his handyman skills rather than any fantasy skills.
Yeah.
And it's like super effective.
And Handyman is a weird thing, I guess, because it's not necessarily the same thing as what you expect. It's not a guy that installs cupboards per se. He's like a person who can do a lot of different small odd jobs, right? So he's not just like a carpenter or whatever we would associate a handyman with being. He's like a locksmith. He said he walks dogs, right? What else did he do? I mean, he
does repairing of small mechanics.
He can fix armor. He can do metal work. He can, I don't know.
He was digging in one episode, so he was setting up like foundation.
Oh, he made a backpack, right? So he can do like leather work and such things as well. So yeah, he's more like
more a British backyard tinkerer,
like a physical Renaissance man sort of thing, right? He can do just he's a jack of all trades, so to speak. And because he's I'm not sure how he got to the other world yet. I've not gotten to that explanation, but he's got a bunch of tools that I assume are from our world, right? Seems that way.
He remade them in this world.
Or he remade them from that. Okay.
We're gonna get a flashback fairly soon, I'm sure, regarding his entry into the world and how he started.
But I love everything about the show so far, especially the wizard.
Characters are done well, yes.
Yeah, the wizard is an old man, and you expect a wizard to be an old man, right? But he's got all the downsides of being an old man as well. So he can't remember his spells. That's the one problem he has. So he's starting off like fireball chant or some sort of thing to deal with some goblins, and then he kind of stumbles over his own words and he just kind of forgets what he's doing. So
Feels very
yeah.
Fizzbanny.
So like Saitou goes and memorizes all of his spells for him. So whenever he forgets the spells, he can just like hop in and remind him what he's supposed to be doing.
So these are part of the kind of almost second generation isekai, as a note.
Yeah.
The Otome game genre is one of the like branches of isekai. This is the normal man, average man, common man branch, where there's still a bit of power fantasy involved. Saitou is still treated as like almost a wise man in this,
Yeah.
but it's largely based off of like having some skill set that
Right.
makes them useful
he's
rather
really,
than being a hero.
He's appreciated for what he can do, right? By
What
his,
he can
his
do,
party
yeah.
and people around him, which is the opposite
So-
of what he was in Japan.
in the normal world. So in these stories, traditionally, what happened is the hero and his companions were summoned from our world, and inside the same circle, a random common dude got taken as well. So the hero and his companions get accepted by the king and go off to adventure, fighting monsters, leveling up, and going to go fight the demon lord.
Yeah.
The standard isekai thing. And then there's this guy who's like Saitama is in One Punch Man, who's living a day-to-day life. Just he's in a different anime entirely.
So, I mean, that's the one I think that surprised me most positively. I know. Yesh, you said it was going to be good, so I'm sure it's not a surprise for you.
I did find the writing of characters very nice in this. The only problem I have with it, as someone who has read the manga, is Author-kun kind of loses track of where he wanted the story to go. I think maybe because it became popular.
Right.
So we start repeat cycling stories to a certain extent.
Might not be Author-kun, might be Editor-kun at that point.
Might be Editor-kun
Yeah.
as well. But I enjoyed it for a solid 2 years, so there's a lot of story that they can go through that will be enjoyable in the anime.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's go through everyone's favorite stuff. So that might not necessarily be my favorite, but the most surprisingly good one, I think, so far. What about you, Yesh?
So I don't know if I would call it surprising for me per se, but I will say that one that I feel people didn't have the greatest of hopes for was Campfire Cooking in Another World. I'm sorry, I know that we're saying multiple isekai. Its Japanese name is Tondemo Skill de Isekai Horu Meshi.
Yeah, so my absurd skill, I make food, sort of thing.
Indeed. So it's almost the same story as what we were saying just a moment ago. The hero and his companions get summoned, as well as a random another guy. The hero gets the skill of being the brave, or the person legendarily able to beat the Demon King.
Yes.
One of the girls is a great wizard, one of the girls is a great healer. And then we get our main character.
I love his skill. It's such a good skill.
Shopping. He has the ability to buy stuff from the konbini in this world.
No, his skill is online shopping.
Online shopping, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
So he can exchange money from the fantasy world to get anything you can buy online. Anything. And our boy uses it to get cooking utensils and food.
And which runs over everyone.
Yeah,
it's amazing because there is definitely a RPG world type adventurer guild super high fantasy RPG thing happening in the background, and we're not looking at any of it. No, instead, we're watching a guy going on a cooking adventure through like Parisian countryside, while adventurers travel with him on occasion.
There are a number of similar animes to this that are also coming out simultaneously.
Because this is a wave of this type of thing.
Right. But this one doesn't have him being like a reject or anything, you know? He's...
in a technical sense, he wasn't like kicked out or anything.
Yeah.
But I will say that there was some underhanded politics happening where our main character felt like the hero and his companions were being manipulated by the king.
Yes.
Or it felt like the king was using them for status rather than for defeating the demon lord and such.
No,
so there's
that.
Like undercurrents of stuff happening.
But all the other ones that are going on are all like, you know, got kicked out of the army, got accused of stealing or something like that. And, has to,
Like Shield Hero, the Shield Hero style ones. Yeah.
yeah,
We will see a few more of those, I believe.
There's like three, at least three this season that are just like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, in Campfire Cooking in Another World, though, it does have the greatest advantage of all, in that one of his companions is a slime monster that is perhaps the cutest mascot thing I have ever seen in my entire life. Sui, the slime, is the cutest thing in existence. I will bear no argument on this. And truly, it is like 50% or more of the reason why I continue to watch the show.
Sure. It's a good show. It's a good show.
It's a good show. Surprisingly good, let me say.
And Dylan, what's your surprisingly good or favorite?
I don't know if I've got a surprisingly good category. Look, NieR Automata is not bad in my opinion. I never played the game though, so I feel like I'm losing out on a lot of the references.
Okay.
So I'm only getting about 10% of the benefit there. I think Yesh, you've played the game, right?
I have played the game, correct.
And for you?
I will say, personally, I feel if the anime doesn't get its message across regardless of you having played the game, then I feel it's not doing its job as an anime.
No, well, I mean, I feel like there are levels to that, right? Like, it's getting its message across, but I feel like there are a lot of... From what I've read...
I feel a bit lost. I mean, I don't really know what's going on with it.
I will say, the way the NieR Automata game begins is with you being dropped into the deep end, and only slowly do you get clues about how the world works and how everything happens. I do feel like the anime is giving us clues about the world faster than the game did, but I don't feel like there's a grounding there yet, if that makes sense.
It kind of has to give it to us faster, because it can't give us multiple playthroughs of different types to... the
so that is something else that I feel might be confusing for people coming into this. Guys, just to let you know, we're getting two storylines in the same timeline.
Okay.
We're not supposed to get 2B's perspective and 9S's perspective at the same time.
Right.
But the anime is kind of giving us both of their side stories and mainline story at the same time. Which I feel makes it a bit too cacophonic.
Sure.
Like, it's harder to follow exactly what story I'm supposed to be following. But it's not bad. I will say the animation is very good, except when they use CG.
Yeah, and I was going to say the CG is hard to look at.
We're going to get to
outside of
other
CG
ones that have worse CG, in my opinion. But, we'll get there. We'll get there.
The voice acting of the two main characters is incredible, personally. I'm very happy with that. And a lot of the scenes when they are still and looking over environments are great. Personally, I'm enjoying it, but I have to say that my opinion is tainted by the fact that I already am familiar with the entire mystery that they're trying to slowly unravel for you guys.
Yeah.
And I hope that they continue to give you guys enough of a grounding in the world before we get to the...
I'll give it to episode 4 before I make a full judgment, I guess.
Personally, I feel like they're giving us information too quickly, and it's a bit cacophonic.
So, next one, I just want to make clear the category is what you think is the worst thing you've watched, and not necessarily just the most disappointing thing you've watched, right?
Oh, I've got something on mind here.
So I would say the worst thing I've watched is Buddy Daddies.
What?
I haven't watched it, so I can't actually say.
It's so bland that I can't stand looking at it. It's just, they've taken a few concepts. I don't know if they've taken from other things or it's just the way this has been run. It feels like they've taken the family dynamic thing from Yakuza Daycare. I can't remember what it's called in English. The one where the little girl has the Yakuza bodyguard.
Yes, yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
And then they've taken a bit of Spy Family for the family dynamic thing. And
so yeah, I got the
just
Spy Family dynamic.
kind of not hitting anything for me. And I can't say the characters are particularly interesting or compelling or anything. So yeah, that's That I would say is the worst thing I've seen this season. That's not a disappointing isekai, at least. I mean, you gotta separate those two things out, because there's just a bunch of isekai trash that is out as well.
There's a pile of isekai trash.
And I don't know. At least some of those are good looking kind of animes, I guess. So what's your worst one, Yesh?
Can you come back to me? I'm trying to look for the name of it. I haven't found it
Sure.
yet.
Adil, what's your worst one?
All right, I don't mean to offend anyone here, but Tomo-Chan as a girl there's a lot of reasons why I really, really loathe it.
Okay.
But yeah.
So that's Dylan. I gotta say, I think it's quite good actually.
Oh yeah.
It's got a bunch of big star voice actors. The voice for Tomo is interesting because it's Rie Takahashi, and she is usually a very girly girl kind of voice actor, and she's done a good job in making Tomo kind of more boyish.
Oh. Yeah, actually, sorry, I got the wrong title. This was the.
I think you're talking about. You're probably talking about.
Yeah. We'll get. We can get there. We'll chat about Tomo-Chan. Tomo-Chan is not my worst. Tomo-Chan is not bad.
So, I mean,
get confused there.
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's got some interesting characters as well. It's got your cool-headed kind of mean girl, who is just quietly torturing the male lead, which is kind of fun. And I like that he always he does something to slight her whenever she does it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she's sort of being mean to him, and it's raining, so he just taps her into the rain, or she'll be prodding him about something else, and he just throws her headband on the floor or something.
I can't help but compare it to Shikimori's Not Just a Kitty from the previous season.
Yeah, but much less positive than that, right?
It's not the same. I like it is its own thing. I don't want to say it's part of a generic thing there, but it's difficult to watch it and not compare it to to the things I enjoyed about Shikimori's. That's the difficulty for me.
You even got a cute girl with blonde hair in both, right? With a weird kind of cutesy way of speaking.
I don't know if I'd call that cutesy or kind of
babyish, right?
Eerie, creepy.
Oh, she's certainly creepy. That's definitely not even an argument there.
Cold. There's not emotion there.
There's this thing that anime does with foreign characters, which turns them into kind of amped up cute or amped up kind of mean characters, and this one's gone all the way cute.
Overly.
What's interesting is her voice actor is fluent in English, right? So she speaks English perfectly. She does a radio show.
Oh, really?
And she can speak English. So whenever you hear her mess up English in the show, it's completely on purpose.
Actually, many production companies pretty much demand that they speak better, worse English.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because good English is not threatening. What's the word? Not terrifying, but it produces negative emotions. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I think it's more difficult for Japanese people to understand what they're saying if it's pronounced correctly.
Incorrectly, yeah.
Which I think is a byproduct of having Japanese teachers teach English with the Japanese pronunciation of English words in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's why they mess it up. So it's actually just easier for Japanese people to understand what words are being said.
Or translate. Mm.
Okay, but Dylan, so I assume Oniichan wa Oshimai is your...
There we go, yes. That is the...
I am now your sister, I think is called in English. Something like that, right?
I am now your sister is a rough one, yes.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Why is it rough for you?
It's rough because it's an ecchi, and
is it an ecchi?
It's an ecchi.
I don't think it. Don't think it actually is.
No, come on.
It's not though.
Chris.
There's no ecchi tag on it, and it has no restrictions. So from the perspective of the broadcaster, it's not, right?
Okay, fine. And then every
It's
second
panty
scene
shots.
is a panty shot. Come on, like bugger off. I'm not interested. It's an itchy.
There's lots
Like,
of like
and
it's rough.
it's rough.
Um,
It's flipping. Thank you, Yesh. I'm like not. When I was like, okay, right, I've got this list, and as I was going through this, I'm like,
Oh, Dylan, we forgot.
why?
We're,
Why
we're
am I
talking
doing
about
this, guys?
we're
Why?
talking about Japan. She got transformed into a 14-year-old girl. She's fine.
It's okay.
No.
It's fine.
She's actually a 20-year-old guy, right?
Yes, she's
So it's-
actually a
it's
20-year-old guy.
No,
But
it's
because she's a 14-year-old girl, it's fine.
I perfectly understand what you're saying, and still no, from
Dylan, I am
high
frustrated
heaven.
and I am frustrated and negative about this as well. This is sarcasm face. You know that
It is.
already.
It is. No.
Yeah, I
It's
like pretty much everything about it, though.
It's just so.
Mental damage for me is rough. You're
can't
depressed
do
as who you
anything.
are, so I'm gonna transform you into someone else because you're too fucked up to fix. So
No. Not only that, but then also in the worst kind of agency removing way.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that he just like it's 2 seconds of crying, and then like, okay, this is my life.
Yeah, but-
And you're like, there is nothing healthy about this whatsoever, nothing appealing about it, nothing funny about it. I didn't dig the humor. And then it's just
if I wanted
underage
to be
panty
super
schoolgirl shots, and I'm like, no.
super exaggerated about this, it's like watching Tusk with panty shots. If anyone remembers Tusk.
That is probably like oh god, I do not want guys. I'm not watching anymore.
I'm not
I
going to
understand
justify
that it's-
myself. I'm not going to justify this show. I think it's a good show. I think a lot of people will enjoy it.
The animation is very solid.
It's actually probably the best animated show this season, to be perfectly honest.
Was that going to be your favorite?
I mean, no, not for sure. But you'll notice that during the shots in the show, they actually make fake like camera lens angles, like like fisheye lenses and all those various things. So there's actually like a really good animation team behind this. And Studio Bind, I guess, is doing it.
Bind has some good quality stuff to their
Yeah.
name.
Music's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
But I
that's-
personally do find the content a bit rough.
That's my least favorite in the whole.
so in that case,
season.
I'm going to say most disappointing.
Wait. I haven't said the one.
Oh,
that
you
I-
haven't. Sorry, Yesh. Sorry, we skipped over you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Technoroid Overmind.
Oh,
Allow me to explain.
okay. You're
Have you
probably
ever
right,
watched a-
actually. Yeah.
Have you ever watched a show that had such good music, such good voice acting, such good animation, so many talented directors, voice actors? There's so much good stuff poured into a box, shaken around, and put into a blender to produce a slurpy thing that makes me want to throw up the more I watch.
No, I tried to watch it like 3 times because every time you look at the blurb, it's like, oh, this looks good. You know.
And the staff list. The staff list is amazing. And then what they produced was, what if you put a tuna and cheese sandwich into a blender and turned it on and then tried to drink that?
No, I agree. It's really bad. It's basically about an Android sharehouse, right? Essentially.
Effectively. And then it's also like a YouTuber sharehouse, Android sharehouse thing.
And I don't know, the background of the world is so strange as well, and it doesn't seem to play much into anything. Yeah.
It's about a group of guys that are trying to become effectively idols to get to the top of an entertainment tower in a post-apocalyptic world.
Where the sun is slowly engulfing.
Destroying the
right.
world, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this exists.
It's
And I think the thing that offends me the most is they went out there and they found talented people, and then they gave them crayons, and then they crumpled whatever they made, and then looked at the crumples and made the anime off of that.
it's actually just a male idol show when you
It
sort
is,
of think
in
about
fact,
it.
an idol show.
So it's definitely not
The-
for us. And
The weird
maybe that is part of
post-apocalyptic
it.
thing, and the fact that survival is based off of being popular as idols,
Yeah.
is just all wacky side story stuff.
No, I don't.
But it's
I
like
don't
a
get
pretty
it.
bad male idol
I
show.
don't get why everyone's so cheerful in this show. And I'm not gonna watch it. Okay, let's move on to most disappointing, right? I'll start us off, and I assume it's all the same thing, right? Trigun. Trigun Stampede, I would say, is my most disappointing of the season. In that, I was expecting Trigun, and I didn't get that. And not only did they not deliver Trigun, they also made it almost into like a different genre.
Well, there is a genre change. I am not agreeing with you on this, amusingly.
Okay.
Carry on.
So, okay. Yesh is still holding out hope, I imagine, for something here.
I don't see how, but yeah.
No, so they've removed Big Girl. What's her name? Right.
Millie.
Removed Millie. They've changed the dynamic with her, and they've made her into like a gruff old guy for some reason, which is strange.
I mean, I don't know if we know that for a fact, that Millie's been taken out or changed into the character.
I guess she could come into it later, but it still changes the whole dynamic if she does, because she's not the partner.
Yeah, Meryl no longer works for an insurance company. She's now a reporter.
Doesn't work for the
newspaper
Pinkertons anymore,
company.
yeah.
Her personality is completely different.
To be fair, the
she's
male
much-
character has taken over the role that Meryl used to play, and now Meryl is now very much like how Millie used to be.
But like a tiny, helpless Millie, you right? Though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they've just made her into like a kind of scared girl character, which is a person without personality, really, when it gets down to it. Who's
To be fair,
slightly
Meryl
greedy,
had very
maybe?
little character until Vash needed someone to give him support.
I mean,
Her role was to chase him. She did very little character building.
she was
before
like kind of the sheriff, right? Who
Yes.
was always after. So that's fine. She's not like that anymore, and the people that are after him are just after him kind of randomly now. So there's no continuous kind of storyline thread binding the story anymore, and that kind of ruins it a bit. What they've done is they've kind of made these like video game set pieces in each episode. So there'll be some, I'm gonna say well animated, because it looks quite good in terms of, again, like a video game would look good as a cutscene, I guess.
I don't
Composition and action shots
I don't
are good.
agree.
But the
agree.
way they've done it with the character models, it doesn't feel like the character models fit into the world they've been animated to fit into. Because
I personally do agree with that,
they
yeah.
started with that space sequence in the beginning, and all the characters were animated to fit within that. And then they've tried to transfer that to the desert planet world, and it didn't work very well.
Yeah.
So it looks like it was probably quite an expensive show to make.
Yeah, it looks
Japanese wise.
brutally expensive. Yeah.
But it also comes off as incredibly cheap because bits don't fit well together.
It's because it's tacky as well. Sorry to offend anyone, but like, okay, so can I lay into the?
Vash has always been
Oh,
tacky.
wow.
Vash has
5
always been
minutes.
tacky.
No. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Vash has been goofy, and a cheese ball. He has
Sure.
never been tacky. Okay. Now,
Okay.
now, I've been watching Stampede alongside the original series. So I'm 2 episodes into Stampede, which is about the point where they introduce Govsef and the crazy scientist character, right? Which, if you're a fan of the original series, that's up to about episode 5 of the original series, Hard Puncher.
Mm-hmm.
And watching them side by side that's an experience, because you realize the score of the original is so much better than the score of the series by like orders of magnitude away. It's not even like it's a little bit better, to the point where I'm like, is there even a score in Stampede? The comedic skits in the original, far better in my opinion. The animation, even though it's a different style, far better in the original. There's almost nothing that Stampede for me contributes. Certainly not in the storyline. The storyline is worse. The writing is worse for me so far. There's nothing of value that it's bringing to the table. They change Vash's character completely, from sort of someone who's like kind of using humor as a diverting mechanism so that he can get through life that he's sort of experiencing quite a lot of pain in, to he's just this kind of stylistic icon in Stampede. And, you know, they change him from a 45 long Colt to a 22 rimfire. It's ridiculous.
No, the gun doesn't look right. Yeah, it's
No,
strange.
there's nothing for anyone here. Like, if you're a gun player for the original, you know, if you were into the weapons of the original Trigun, and you come into Stampede, I mean, you're gonna be hurt, at least in the early section of the anime.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, and now Yesh can rebut me.
I was going to say before we get into Yesh's rebuttal is that there's an article from The Escapist I read, which says the series is forgetful and lacks the original charm of the series. It's a very good article that goes into detail about all the characters feel a bit off and such things. You can find it on The Escapist, obviously. Okay, Yesh, tell us why we're wrong.
Dylan, you were saying something. Do you want to just respond to that?
No, not at all.
So let me just start this off with, how do you compete with near perfection, right? How do you compete with a cultural landmark? Trigun, the original, is what I used to suggest to people they watch to get into anime. If you haven't watched an anime before, Trigun is a really great way for someone from the West to maybe get entranced by anime.
For sure.
I don't think remaking that would have done anyone any good. We would have side-by-sided that shit and been angry. The score, incredible. The animation, great. The humor, fantastic. We can't do that again. It's not going to work out. Even if they make a shot-for-shot composition remake and just scaled it up to 1080p, people would be livid. They had no winning strategy to remake that version of Trigun that would work for us now. What they are doing instead is actually almost ingenious if they can pull it off, which I don't think they can, but I'm here to give them a shot.
Okay.
They're making a version of Trigun that is so different that anyone who watched the old one can watch this one and be surprised.
Right.
And anyone who didn't watch the old one and doesn't want to watch a 480p rip of it can watch this one. Those people were never going to watch the old one. They're not going to do it. And the old fuddies aren't going to watch a remake of the exact same thing. I understand that it feels like we want that, but we don't.
I mean,
every attempt to remake something old has always garnered so much negativity that it doesn't work.
Sure.
I don't agree. I mean, they did it with Dragon Ball, and people really liked Kai.
People complained heartily about Kai, firstly. And secondly, the problem with Dragon Ball's original is everyone agrees the filler was a problem. Can you tell me something super negative about the original Trigun?
Well, look, I mean, even if they just...
A shot-for-shot remake would have earned them a very negative score. As people complained, we already had
a shot-for-shot remake, but...
And if they had changed things slightly, it would have earned them a lot of negativity as well.
An adaptation that mostly stayed the same, but was done in a modern style.
Okay, so they did that with Evangelion.
Okay.
They did that with Evangelion, and they got lambasted. Firstly, for making basically the same story, and then secondly, for changing the song in the end credits.
They're
still getting shit about that.
I still get told repeatedly by people who like Evangelion that I should watch those. I'm not hearing that with Trigun.
Well,
I'm going to just interject quickly and say, okay, I can agree to you up to a point where what you're saying makes sense, where it's foolish to try and remake the original. But then my question is, why do anything at all? Why not divert those resources to a unique IP? Right? Or cover a story in that same universe from a different angle that's not following Vash.
Yeah.
That's not following Meryl.
Why is very easy to answer, right? Because money. Right?
Because money.
So we don't need to talk about that.
And that's... so yeah, but like actually... it goes into the point here a little bit, right? Because it backfires for me. I feel like if they can sit and say, oh, you know, like... No, let me roll back a little bit here. for me, they spent a lot of money, if we're going to talk about money, on what for me
animation and
becomes a
stuff.
pointless exercise. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't bring any value to the table. At best, you can maybe not offend.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best outcome you could hope to achieve, or maybe not disappoint but remain forgetful. Right? And this is where I'm agreeing with you. Trigun was so good that to try and reach that mark in a remake makes no sense, and I agree with you. But trying to make any like sort of re-adaptation, which is what this is, it's a re-adaptation. It's like it's taking the original and going, okay, how can we be unique but tell the story of Vash Stampede, the Vash the Stampede, and that makes no sense to
agree.
me. That's a nonsense. They shouldn't have even tried.
So from a certain perspective, part of the reason the style change was done, I suppose, is it doesn't affect the Western rating, which remains PG-13 for both of these things. But in Japan, this can be aired at any time of the day now, as opposed to after, I think, 6 p.m. For the original
Because for
Trigun.
some reason CG is considered less violent, even if violence occurs.
Right.
I'm not going to argue about
I mean,
that.
I might buy the argument that this is for kids,
And
but
one of the companies that are involved with it is a toy company. And CG models are very easy to produce into.
Convert into the 3D printed toys.
yeah, figures.
But also, that's just the why behind it. It's kind of boring. I think it's not a good adaptation. And
Allow me
I
to
think-
just
I
continue
think
to say.
if you just kept the story the same, even if you did it in this style, right, it would have been fine.
I really don't think if they had
yeah,
too many
I'm not-
similarities, it would have worked.
I'm not sure I would go that far, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I will say, I was offended out of my mind. Like, I was literally so angry I decided not to talk to people because I knew I would say bad things. When Vash revealed his metallic arm in the first few seconds of the fucking show.
Yep.
I mean, you didn't even reveal it; was just there.
It was
All
just
of the
there.
backstory
You-
happened in
you-
the first episode.
You need to hide all of the intrigue in the original series. Look,
Yeah.
in a way, I feel like that decision can be defended because there is the original series that was super popular, right? So they can sit and say, well, it's no surprise, right?
We can't exactly gotcha anyone with this.
But I
We're
feel like
actually
there's
from
the
space.
failure in the boardroom. They should have gone back and been like, you know what? We're in it. We can set it in the same universe. We can still sell toys because we can make interesting characters with interesting guns and interesting tropes and interesting settings. And we can have a completely different tone from the original. We don't have to try and chase that dream. We don't have to, or rather, we don't have to have a chaser to that dream, right? You don't have to follow that up with
So, allow me to continue.
something awful.
I was already so angry and so, like, not happy with the show. When we first began in space, and secondly, it was revealed that Vash had a fully metallic arm. And then Millie's, like, talking about how we fell from space and civilization has fallen. That whole reveal for me was masterful in the original Trigun, where it felt a little bit like a slightly magical Western, but then suddenly robots, space, sci-fi. It felt great in the original show, but I think actually, after thinking about it for a while, once I calmed down, I realized that was a little bit of a lampshade, a little bit of a signaling from the story writers and the anime producers to tell us, the old guard, that this is going to be a completely different show. Just hang up your expectations, put down your knowledge, and just go with the ride. Because we don't know where we're going.
And what did they do to Rem's character in that first episode?
They completely changed it. It's a completely different
No,
character.
no, they trashed it, right? Because Rem had strength in there. In
We
the original
don't know
series
that they
she doesn't.
trashed it because we don't know who she is yet.
When
we don't
she-
know where the story is going yet. That's what I'm
100
trying to say.
Okay, but like her crying, saying that like the best thing that ever happened to her were getting to meet Knives and Vash is not Rem. Rem is like not that character. But anyway, I'm going
Okay,
to.
the Rem
I'm
in
gonna
the
set
story
that
that we know is absolutely not that character. You're right.
So
But
it's
the Rem
okay.
in this
It's
story
okay.
is that character.
I think we can all agree that Yesh is in denial and he'll come around.
Eventually,
And we
I
can
probably
move
will.
on.
I am happy to admit I'm in denial. I watched Picard season 2.
Yeah, and you and me will get together on a couch and drink our way through season 3 in a few weeks.
3. But I will say, I feel like
Oh, dear.
for all of the stuff that I was hyper offended about initially, The fact that they told me right in the introduction, right at the beginning of the show, completely different story. Hang up your expectations, forget what you knew. This is something else. Give us a chance.
Yeah.
It is a good message to get out right at the outset. If they had tried to fool me with Vash drinking in a tavern and then the entire thing gets shot in half and
Look.
then it goes wild and off, I would have been...
That's an interesting mindset to have, but it's not one I'm willing to engage with on any level.
If they had tried to clone it and suggest that I should hang on with my memories of the old, I would have been unhappy and like totally negative about this. But they literally clued me in right at the first seconds of the show.
My one hope for it would have been, right, that it was Trigun Stampede as a continuation with another set of characters that happens to have Vash appearing in, right? So
that would have been
the story
Interesting.
happens in the same time set, or like a side story, or as like a prequel or something like that. And that way you have the original for people to watch, and then you have new additional stories with the characters. And then you could have done whatever you wanted, and no one would have really been offended. You know what I mean? Or there would not really be a point in comparing it, because only one character or maybe two characters would have been from the same thing. But they didn't go that way, so I'm not very positive about how it can improve from this point of view.
We haven't met Puss in Boots the Preacher yet. Just hold on until that crazy Mexican accent shows up.
I'm gonna stop watching it and save up some episodes, and maybe we'll do that drinking game when you tell me when he arrives. We can get together and watch that.
Well, I don't know if we'll be able to get Yesh to stop watching it. That's the problem.
That's true. Anyway,
If we can agree to watch the entire series once it's fully released, I'll stop right now.
Okay.
we'll
but
we'll
then I
watch it
won't-
up until Preacher.
What are we?
But I
what
don't-
are we drinking?
That's an interesting question. But I won't be able to tell us if it's good or not then as well.
That's fine. But that's
No,
not the point
we
of
know
the
what it's going to
activity.
be. But yes, we know what it's going to be. You don't have to tell us whether it's going to be good or bad. We know what it's going to be.
Anyway, moving on. We'll decide that later.
Yes. Yep.
So here's some surprising animes that I think people won't have picked up on that are actually quite good, or at least some people will like. So we have a Netflix one called Maniac, something Maniac, right? What's
The Itojunji.
Itojunji Maniac.
um,
I don't like it,
Horror mangaka.
but I
You're
understand.
not supposed to like it.
No, it's very upsetting to watch. In fact, it's gross. It's like a grosser version of the Addams Family.
Yes. Well, so that's the first episode, right?
Sure, and maybe there'll be different
Yeah.
stories.
So
throughout.
I suspect it's a different story each episode. They're like kind of like shorts
Yeah,
in a way. You know, you've got a 30-minute episode of exploring a specific.
yeah. So it's 20 short stories essentially, is what it says, right? And I assume like the reporter girl, the photographer girl, is maybe the connecting tissue between all the stories or something like that. But I'm not entirely sure if that's true. Anyway, the animation style in the first episode is kind of a creepier version of the Addams Family. And
I'd agree.
everything's-
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, everything's made to be a little bit exaggerated and a bit like gross, you know. There's like a lot of throwing up and very visceral kind of things that happen. Blood dripping from people's faces and various things that aren't great to look at. I understand a lot of people do like that. If you like horror, and if you especially like a dark kind of humorous horror, I think this is probably you're gonna love the way this is going.
Yeah, this is sort of for exactly. It's for horror fans and for people that like the manga specifically as well.
For sure. Someone's gonna like this. It's got that Netflix flavor to it though, which I appreciate because it's always different from other anime that have been released. That is to say, it doesn't go the same route as a show that will be shown on a TV station in Japan. The episodes aren't always like uniform length. For example, they make a lot of decisions that maybe those companies can't make. So, I mean, that either worked out for you if you liked cyberpunk or if you liked the romantic killer kind of stuff. This has that going for it, but in like a horror kind of vibe way. And that's either a positive or a negative depending on how you feel about it. I like it because it's different, but nothing particular about that is up my alley, so to speak. Then one that I assume no one has heard of because it hasn't really been advertised very much is Kaina of the Great Snow Sea. Have either of you heard of that? Right, it's great. I mean, it's kind of this. It's one of those shows that doesn't have a lot of speaking involved. At least, it's not a silent show or anything like that, but it's about this boy who lives at the top of the world in a tree. What seems to be some like post-apocalypse kind of Earth, though I don't really know yet. And this tree has these membranes that cover the entire upper atmosphere. It's like a series of trees. And there's a lot of giant bugs that live on this world now. Maybe it's Earth, maybe it's after like some sort of Armageddon. And he hunts those. That's, his job. He's like a primitive guy. He has like a high atmosphere mask and such, because that's what the tribe lives in. And he's like the only young guy in that tribe. It seems to be like either humanity's kind of on the brink of extinction. And he's maybe like the last child of that tribe. But then we go to the Snow Sea, which is below on Earth, I guess. And I kind of get an Avatar The Last Airbender vibe going on. There's sort of a water tribe person fleeing from like a fire tribe kind of, navy thing going on there. And it's atmospheric, it's kind of eerie, it's beautifully differently animated. In a kind of more realistic than normal anime kind of way. It has, you can actually like see people's facial features properly, and like, they draw the noses a little bit more, so on and so forth. But there is like a kind of a 3D CG aspect to it, which I guess some people might not like. There's definitely in the action scenes, you can tell it's been put through a computer in order to make it work properly. But very different from anything else that's come out this season. Does anyone else pick up on anything like that during their perusal?
Shows. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything beautiful or wonderful about it, but the Misfit of Demon King Academy 2 is up. And I will say, there's nothing I want to come home to after a frustrating day and watch than that.
Yeah.
It is the most satisfying of shows.
I hated it, to be honest.
The new season or the original?
All of it.
All of it? Wow.
All
I
of
thought
it.
you enjoyed Demon King 1.
I watched it.
Okay.
You kept telling me to watch it, so I did.
Okay, maybe I'm mistaken.
No, I mean, it's not
very
the worst
satisfying.
thing I've seen, Yesh. It's fine. But yeah, I don't know. Not for me. I think I'm just going to stop with that. Then, Dylan, did you have anything that you're watching?
No, this season's been very underwhelming.
I know you're watching Revenger. Or
Yeah, I
you have seen
mean,
it.
yeah. I've watched 2 episodes of it. I actually need to watch it the 3rd.
Yeah.
Revengers. Is it different? I don't know if it is different. Like if you've grown up like with odd anime like Saiki Reload, it doesn't really seem novel. I guess it's novel in that it's not an isekai.
There is actually a new Sayuki, relatively new, like 4 or 5 years old now. I think it's actually better than the original. Yeah,
I mean,
but yeah, it's a historical Japanese adaptation, kind of, that takes place just after the like excommunication of the Catholic Church from Japan. So like the main character, the guy that's in charge of the guild or whatever, the Revenger guy, is this weird Christian guy who kills people with gold leaf.
Yeah,
By
he
putting
paints
gold
it
leaf
in a-
on top of their face so they can't breathe, and he says a prayer, and that seems to suck their soul out or something, right?
Yeah, there's some weird thing going on there.
Yeah.
And then it
And
disintegrates.
he accepts 20 pieces of silver for each contract, so there's obviously like lots of like weird Christian connotations going on through the show, which is interesting to see in a historical Japanese thing.
I didn't pick up that he accepted 20 pieces of silver for it. I picked up on like the Ryu, the gold coin that gets paid. I didn't realize he got
Oh,
paid.
we went to the priest and in the temple, and he got his pay for the
Yeah,
job.
I missed
right?
that.
Yeah.
Just 20 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like really weird. Okay.
And okay, but then just a few other things in case people are wondering what's good. There is saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement. It's exactly what it says. It's an isekai thing, but it's an isekai where the character can hop between worlds. And it's that, I'm sure literally everyone who's thought about isekai has thought about this. Like, what would you do if you could like go to like a primitive world and like trade goods for your modern world stuff, right? What kind of business could you operate in? And so that's basically what she's going to do. Is she's going to start like a interdimensional business, I guess, interplanetary business, earning profit and making money, trading from a modern world to like a pre-industrial kind of agricultural world. It's not a novel concept, but it's fun to watch.
It's got a sense of incremental progress.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's a grindy kind of game sort of thing, I guess. Then there's like another one that's in like almost the same genre as the Cooking Campfire world one, where chilling in my 30s after getting fired from the Demon King's army, right? Is just about
That one's actually quite good, yeah.
who thought he was a demon, who wasn't a demon, so he couldn't use any demon magic, which is why he got kicked out of the Demon King's army. But it turns out he's just like a human, right? Or something like that. And, he ends up being a super powerful human, though, because he's got all like the human aspects of magic, or whatever they call it, skills, that he can use. But all he wants to do is live in a small village quietly, after his like exile from the Demon King's thing. So yeah, it's one of those like slow animes with an overpowered protagonist, but it doesn't seem to be like a wish fulfillment kind of power fantasy thing. So I'm down for that. And in that vein, there is another one which is Isekai non-Biri Nyoka, which is farming life in another world.
Yeah.
And the first episode was really okay, but I suspect it's going somewhere that I'm not gonna like. But the first episode is just it's one of those things where God makes a mistake, and as a reward he lets the person choose their reincarnation, and this person wants to live like a kind of farming life.
Quiet farmer life.
And so he has these super overpowered farming skills. No doubt that will lead to some isekai shenanigans down the road and a growing harem of people. But yeah, so far first episode I watched was decent. So I'm not sure that's going to go.
Chris,
Yeah.
to tell you about what kind of show we're talking about, obviously Othrakun has tried multiple times to make a manga and they've all been shot down.
Sure.
So he made this like offside pitch and it actually went through.
And someone was like, okay. And he's like, oh god, I have to write this now.
Well, he chooses to not do that.
Sure.
We get, I think, in anime terms, we're going to get maybe 3 episodes, maybe 4,
Yeah.
of like farming, gaining happiness, the good stuff. And then it turns out that God placed him in the most out-of-way place he could find, which is the dead land between the human and the demon king's armies.
Yeah.
He's in the peaceful area between them, because they murder everybody who goes in there.
Yes.
So both sides send increasingly stronger forces there to find out why there's people living there, and Farmer Boy murders them all consistently.
I'm sure with his incredibly powerful hoe.
So it turns out his ability to plow works on people and monsters as well. So he creates 1 foot deep,
Sure.
5
that's what I was
centimeter
talking
wide
about.
ditches in monsters every time he swings his weapon,
Yes.
etc., etc.
yeah, I'm
It
sure,
just gets
I'm sure.
worse as we go down.
Okay.
It's
But I don't want to
loses
dwell
it
on that one.
immediately.
Actually, an actually kind of cool one. You'll forgive the pun. Is the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague.
Oh yeah.
So
I didn't
this
watch it,
is
but I heard
about
it
a
was
guy
good.
there's a monster in Japan called a Yuki Onna, a snow woman. So he's
Snow woman,
descended
yeah.
from one of these people. And he doesn't have full control over his powers as a result of not being like a purebred or whatever.
Mhm.
So he gets stressed and things become icy around him. Literally, like he can't go to work. That's how he's introduced to the cool female colleague character, because he is too stressed on his way to work and he freezes his legs to the floor. So she sort of helps him thaw out, and that's how they're introduced. But it turns out like sort of in this world, you can either be descended from humans or from monsters. So there's like kitsune characters and other kind of like the manager is descended from a Buddha. You know,
Incredible.
it's just a tongue-in-cheek kind of fun, like little romance office comedy kind of thing.
Aijin shows, which is what this falls under,
Yeah,
have been getting more and more popular, and Aijin just means like monster-blooded.
yeah, no, sure. Works as a pun as well, but yeah. So you know, it's just a situational comedy, a literal sitcom. The snow person has to go to Okinawa, right, during summer, and that's a problem because he starts melting, right? And that's if you like that sort of thing, it's just very easy to watch. In that vein, but with more like high school kind of angst, is The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. I don't know if I like this show, but I think it's quite well made.
I feel if they just made the characters more realistic, I could get into it.
Yes,
But
both of
nobody
them
does
are
anything for realistic
so-
reasons.
I mean, I guess it is
Unreal.
a Japanese trait to be very closed off, but they're both so dishonest about like their reactions to things. They do seem kind of unreal at times.
Mm-hmm. But also, like, it doesn't feel like there's any reason for her to change her behavior from the introduction, and then it just kind of happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess the implication is both of them are just, you know, quietly lying to themselves, and it is kind of a love at first sight kind of comedy, really. You know, that's going on here.
Otherwise, the implication is no one in her entire life has ever been friendly to her.
Right, not even
though,
no family or anything like that.
Even
It's-
though her literal introduction is everybody trying to be friendly to
Yeah,
her.
and she's literally the most popular girl in school, and no one's been nice to her, you know? It's very unrealistic. But it's also made in like kind of a weird, endearing kind of way. Very... It's got
The romance is
Toradora vibes, except without any of the emotion that those
Yeah.
characters would show, right? There's no anger. They're so cool-headed. It's
There's no
disgustingly
development.
cool-headed. Yeah.
They're
I don't
just
know.
instantly in love.
It's not bad though. It's maybe worth watching if you're missing that kind of high school romance thing. Well, you could watch Nagatoro-san if you don't like that one.
I've got 2 shows that I do want to suggest.
Please.
Ars no Kyojo was a show I wasn't that interested in when we were
JP?
doing our previews.
Thank you for mentioning
Chris
that.
actually suggested it. So I gave it a 2-episode watch. It has some very interesting world building. There's a little bit of like a suggestion that there's more coming that we haven't seen yet.
It's like a D&D
I-
world almost, eh? Oh,
And
okay.
also, like, there's some advancements that are a little bit well written.
Yeah.
I've stopped caring about world setting as much, as long as the characters within it make sense.
Sure.
And I will say that this world building is interesting, but also the characters are well done. So I'm definitely giving this up to episode 6. I have to say I haven't been sold on it fully, but I have hope for it.
Like a fantasy, steampunk, magic kind of world, right?
Well, the steampunk and magic are a little bit like mysterious background.
Yeah.
They're not explained very well, and there's a kind of a threat feeling
Yeah.
to some of it.
And then giant monsters.
And then giant monsters come. So, like, it feels like it's forbidden magic in a way. It feels almost like the steampunk elements are like not accepted by people, but they're using it because it's convenient.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll have to explore the mysteries more as the episodes go. But for now, it's well animated, it's well voice acted, and the characters are interesting.
Interesting characters as well. I like the implications of like how some of them interact and just don't know how to really navigate the world, and for like logical reasons, not just because they're a weird character in a show.
Yeah, but it also adds to the idea that the people who know about the tech aren't really sociable or accepted in society.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've got this weird feeling like they're making a deal with the devil, perhaps, and then the giant monster might be the price. But we don't know yet. And the other one I wanted to talk about is called High Card.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
High Card is like a crazy 1970s Casino Royale bank heist, casino heist mixture. Crazy. It's an insane heist type show with lots of adrenaline and lots of weird stuff happening. But like the exact nature of the story is still hidden from us as the audience right now. We're just following one character who's going through this high octane world, and I feel like there's going to be some major twist to this show somewhere around episode 10 or so.
It actually sounds really good. I mean, it sounds like I thought it was just going to be about a card game or something.
So there's cards involved because it's a casino
Yeah,
heist.
sure.
But there's like not espionage, but what am I trying to say? There's like almost spy film type activities happening.
It's like a heist
and
movie.
like a heist movie, yeah. Sorry, I suppose just like a heist. There's people staking out the joint. People are trying to learn all of the secrets to get access to things. There's a lot of stuff happening. And our MC is a bit, not like an idiot, but like he doesn't know anything. And he needs to know a lot of things. And it's happening pretty fast.
Yeah.
So there's like some thriller aspects to it that I'm finding quite interesting.
No, I'll probably give it a go. There are a few other. I mean, we haven't mentioned. We're not going to mention second series or second seasons of things really.
Continuations, yeah.
And I haven't been able to find Mononogatari. It might not be out yet. I'll have to.
I haven't watched it.
Have a look for that somewhere.
Its
else,
name
maybe.
is so boring that I just overlooked it.
Yeah. But there's the Legend of Heroes of the Northern War, and God, it feels like it's trying to be Shingeki no Kyojin, right? Attack on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of gave up on it really, really quickly. Then Hikari no O. I don't know. The concept is just so dumb. I can't engage with it.
Sorry, explain the concept.
So, after the apocalypse, humans now spontaneously combust near fire.
Oh, no. The fire people. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. I remember.
So they
this
have
one.
to find magical fire in order to
From the
do this
insides
stuff.
of monsters.
Yeah. I don't want to think about it. And then there's your normal isekai trash, right? Reincarnation of the strongest exorcist. Reincarnation of the strongest ice blade sorcerer.
Him, Eminence of the Shadows.
Yes, that continues. I think Eminence in the Shadows is probably better than either of those things.
I have not stopped having fun with it, so I'm gonna continue watching that.
Inspector has a second season. Continues to be good.
I didn't enjoy S1 as much, so I stopped watching it.
And what's the last one?
Season 499 of Detective Conan.
I suppose so. It can't matter. I can't remember it. Okay. Are there any other things you guys want to mention in terms of anime?
I mentioned everything I wanted to.
Yeah, I don't really have anything that's.
So, anime that are coming out and perhaps will be out by the time this goes live is Agretzko Season 5. Which...
I tried getting into it, the original, the Season 1 at some point many years ago, and I just couldn't get into it.
But anyway, it'll be the last season of Agretzko. Obviously, it will be on Netflix because it's a Netflix program. But obviously, it hasn't come out yet, so we can't say anything about it. I assume it'll be just as good as all the other Agretzko stuff.
Agretzko has been solid.
Yeah. But yeah, wait for that, I guess. And yeah, that'll do it for us, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful to anyone who is missing out on any anime that they would actually like to see. Alright, cheers for now, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you.